Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm gonna be featuring the Oland, the new Tier 6 Premium Pan-European Destroyer that you can buy in the Premium Shop for 12,500 doubloons. Now the ship that you will be directly comparing the Oland to is the Skane, the Tier 6 Tech Tree Pan-European Destroyer. These two destroyers are very similar in their performance. However, I think the Oland is just better all around. The main differences between the Oland and Skane are that the Oland has a 1 second faster reload. Its base reload is 2.5 seconds, whereas Skane is 3.5. And the torpedoes on Oland also deal more damage at around 10,000 per torpedo, whereas Skane deals around 7,500 per torpedo. However, Oland's torpedo reload is about 10 seconds longer, but in my opinion, trading off that 10 seconds for slightly more damage is definitely worth it. The commander I've been using is Stig Hansen Eriksson, the torpedo boat commander for the Pan-European destroyers, and I have my torpedo reload under a minute, so it's not that big of a deal that this ship's torpedoes reload 10 seconds longer, since it reloads that fast anyway. Also, the torpedoes for the Pan-European destroyers are very long-ranged, as I am able to torque this normally about 10 kilometers away. I am using less is more, a torpedo skill that will reduce your range but also increase your torpedo damage. So my torpedoes are doing about 11,000 alpha damage. Something else that you may not have noticed about these Pan-European destroyers is that the torpedoes have a narrow and a super narrow spread. You can clearly see when I launch the torpedoes at that Normandy, that's AFK. The spread on the super narrows are much more narrow than, say, a Fubuki or any destroyer that has a triple torpedo launcher. Hence the super narrow torpedo spread. It's not clearly conveyed in the overview for these ships, but that is something to note. You will have a very easy time torpedoing bow in battleships, and these guns have a very high fire chance, so you will also have no problem setting fires. Another tip that is very useful for these Pan-European destroyers is that if you are attacked by a carrier and you lose your defensive AA, and say the enemy carrier squadron is entirely destroyed and you have a decent amount of time left on your defensive AA consumable, you can actually turn off your AA and force the consumable to go on cooldown so that the next time the carrier planes arrive, you can have your defensive AA back off cooldown and ready to use. However, even though this amount of time that you are saving is minuscule, it is still something worth doing just to save a little time on the reload. And now you're going to see the Pan-European destroyer fire chance come into play. Currently using the torpedo commander, we don't have access to any skills that increase fire chance, but as you can see, I had no problem setting this California on a perma triple fire, and now he's just gonna burn for a ton of damage. At this point, the California and Byron are both gonna be running away, so there's no point really in chasing them from behind. So I start heading to the middle of the map to make sure I am on their sides to torpedo them and guarantee some more hits, since my torpedoes are reloaded and ready to be used. Something else that we need to pay attention to is the enemy battleship that is near our cap. At this point in time, our battleship that is in our spawn still is by himself, and there is still one destroyer that has not been accounted for. So the chances are the destroyer is with that battleship and going towards our base. So me turning into the middle of the map is a very good spot to be, because I can still torpedo these battleships, and I am in a position that if needed I can head back to our cap to defend. Our battleship that was in our spawn does go down, and there is no one there to defend the base. We do have one cruiser nearby, however these low tier cruisers in a tier 5-6 match don't exactly have good armor, so I don't expect our cruiser to be able to defend the base against a battleship in a one-on-one. So I am just gonna head towards our cap. I notice the California turning out, so I make that prediction and lead him. And something that not many players do is make their own predictions and try not to use the prediction line to torpedo. And me torping a little further to the left compared to where the line was, I'm able to land a few more torps on that California. At this point, I'm starting to head back towards our cap. But since the torpedoes are such long ranged, I am also looking for an opportunity to continuously torp these battleships as they head towards their own cap. Something else also worth noting about these pan-European destroyers are that they are very slow. The base speed of the Oland is 36 knots, which is not very fast for a destroyer. Unfortunately, using less is more, I can't actually reach those battleships anymore, so I just make the decision to go to the cap. Our cap is being captured, so we know that the Bayern is in the cap behind that island. However, when he gets spotted, he is not actually in the cap, so we know that there's actually a destroyer there. So we need to be ready to fight a destroyer and hope that our cruiser survives long enough that he is able to assist us. So what we're gonna do now is just push into our own cap and contest it. And taking a look at this Bayern, he seems to just be sailing in a straight line, not changing his course or speed, mostly probably because he thinks that it's just a Pensacola here and he doesn't have to worry about any other ships. There are 2 sets of 3 torpedoes, so at this point in time we can tell that it's the enemy Vasteras, the tier 5 pan-European destroyer that's in the cap with this Bayern. Our Pensacola ended up contesting our objective, so now we can push into the cap without alerting the Bayern that there is another ship here. I'm also pushing close to this island because I saw where those torpedoes came from, and I have a feeling that the Vasteras is just sitting behind the island in the corner that is in the cap. The Bayern didn't change his course or speed since he was not alerted to another ship that was with the Pensacola. Now that our Pensacola is still alive, I am here to push this Vasteras since we have the support. My prediction was correct where the destroyer was. Obviously, if I had used Perceptive instead of Less is More, I would have had better intel as to where the enemy ship was. But you don't really need to use it if you have knowledge and understand where things come from, especially since this Vasteras had torpedoed and basically told us where he was. The Oland has significantly better DPM than the Vasteras and the Skane, so gunning him down with less health was not a problem. But that was pretty much all that happened. I ended up just sailing to the enemy cap with the rest of our team while the enemy Akatsuki ran away, and ended up capping the enemy base for a win. We were able to do 2900 base XP in the Oland. This is definitely a very good destroyer if you can play around the fact that it doesn't have smoke. We were able to do 154,000 damage and get a high caliber and devastating strike medal. Now we're gonna take a quick look at our build. So again, the commander that I use is Stig Hansen Eriksson, the torpedo build commander. Subsurface Venture, look at me now. This game I was using Less is More. I have also been using Perceptive, as this is also a very good skill. Destroy and be destroyed is also a very good skill since the buff to the ship speed is very helpful since the base speed is very slow. Unstoppable is another must-have skill. I use Space Fishy for a little more torpedo speed, and Sims for an extra bit of health. Aiming systems, propulsion mod, and concealment mod are all pretty standard on destroyers. I don't really find the use of building for AA since carriers are kind of rare, and if you end up building for it and not finding a carrier, it's kind of a waste. And we can see some of the stats with the build. We had a 5.6 detection, which, to put that into perspective, a kid with a similar build would have 5.4. And we just saw the torpedo stats, which are still pretty good compared to the Scane. But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Do leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Leave a comment down below for any other ships you want to see. But until next time, aloha.